Ublakut, good morning. We will start the morning with some housekeeping, and Sharon will take care of that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. Sharon Halwak with the Planning Commission. Just if there's any new participants from out of town, we'll just review our emergency exits, one here on the side and the one that everyone came through. Bathrooms are in the front lobby. Food or snacks, tea, coffee, please help yourself. Just a reminder, please put your cell phones on mute, and that we are live streaming, so all the session is being streamed through Asuma, YouTube, and Facebook. We will take 2 15-minute breaks today, as close to 10:15, 10:30 as possible, pending the presentations, and then 2:15 to 2:30. We'll see how we're doing, whether or not we have a night session. And again, we're following the same format as yesterday. After the presenters have finished presenting, there will be time for a question and answer period. With that, if anyone has any of the community delegates or others need any assistance, please call upon the Commission staff. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Sharon. So we'll start with the hamlet of Oviet and Oviet Hunters and Trappers Organization. If you guys would like to make your way to the table, I'll make a few comments while you're getting settled in. Sharon already touched on the phones. For interpreters' sake, please use full names, not acronyms. Speak in a slower manner to help out the interpreters. And when it is your turn to speak, get close to the mic so that comes through clear. And before we get started, I want to make sure that everybody understands and recognizes that oral presentations are just as important and valuable as those fancy PowerPoint slides and all that kind of stuff. Everything that is on the record is important and valuable, and we really need to hear what you have to say. When it's your turn to speak, please start with your name and the organization that you represent. And just to help out with the process, when the presentation is done, the order of questions will come from Nunavut Planning Commission staff first. Then it will come from your fellow community delegates, so the other communities and the other hunters and trappers organizations. Then we'll open it up to the registered participants at the back. And then if there is public members that would like to ask questions, that's available as well. For community delegates, we'll follow the same as we did yesterday about letting us know if you have a question, the mic will come to you. And for registered participants, it's the standing mic at the back. You guys ready to go? Okay, please start.
Thank you. The chairman, I'm Peter Alarian, Akvet, Hamlet of Akvet. Ludovic Unek is also from Hamlet of Akvet. We're here to present, and also from HTO, Alex Ishaluk and Kevin Kaluak are also from Akvet, HTO. The presenting from yesterday by Jonathan Savoy, we have heard regarding the Nunavut land use plan and how it is, along with the contents in it. And we're going to speak on behalf of Hamlet. And also the presenters from HTO Akvet will do their presentation or do speak on behalf of Akvet. And also we have had 5 topics, and one of them was the drinking water, territorial, healthier community, historic sites, and military facilities, sites. These 5 topics that I just mentioned are linked to our Hamlet of Akvet, and I'm going to speak on behalf on the topic and all the contents of the land use planning. And we will speak separately of the any on HTO, the drinking water, Akvet drinking water is in Hamlet of municipality and or outside of Hamlet municipality, where we get water on a river. And some communities have community drinking water outside their Hamlet boundaries. The territorial parks and and the topics that I had interested in talking about. And some of these topics I would like to mention are going to be one of my topics. We are here, me and Ludovic Unek are here on behalf of HTO here, and we're supporting our HTO. And HTO will be presenting from HTO from Akvet. We have to support our people from Akvet, and we are here to speak on behalf of our people. I'm going to give now to Alex and Kevin now. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. You ready to go? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Alex Ishaluk from Akvet Hunters and Trappers, along with Kevin Kaluak. We would like to thank you that we are able to be here in this meeting. And good morning to everyone who is here. And we would like to say good morning to Rankin. I would like to thank our Creator who had created heaven and earth, and also mammals that created mammals and wildlife on the land. We're here on behalf of Akvet people, and also we have supporters from Hamlet of Akvet, Peter and Ludovic. Let me visualize you people what I am going to say. Our hunting grounds in Akvet, in Magoos River, there we hunt fish and caribou at Magoos River. Really good scenery, Magoos Lake. They're interested in creating mining, and as we are getting older, and we are trying to obey our ancestors, and they had already had mentioned that the caribou crossing of caribou, please don't make any house or shack cabins where there are caribou crossings. And I'm referring to caribou crossing at the Magoos Lake, and that's where our ancestors were. There are different kind of mining that are interested. We are trying to protect our caribou because they're post cabin grounds there. And caribou are just outside of Akvet. There's no. We have a place that is special. We don't make cabins around that area where there is caribou crossing grounds. We provide country food and we provide country food to please help us hear our concern. And we don't want any mining company touching our area at
I'm especially involved with hunting, harvesting caribou, and we do have polar bear problems at times during 2007. We haven't had any quotas for polar bear harvesting to people from Akviet. We do have polar bear problems any weather any kind of season, and it's a real problematic with polar bears. That question would look bad with him, but I'm sorry. Making our interpreters laugh. Because we don't have any, our quota system for polar bears is problematic for our community, especially with the polar bears. And our caribou population is very healthy, and the calving areas are very, very healthy. It's a beautiful country, beautiful land, beautiful tundra, and as well, and people from Inlet and other communities from Baffin region do come to our community to harvest caribou because they have their own system, like getting tags at the Baffin region. We people from Akviet, we do rely on our country food, and sometimes when there's any quotas left from other communities, we are given those tags. We know now there's going to be a problematic with the mining sector, and especially when they want to do an exploration or do mining in the calving areas. When Meadowbank was created near Baker Lake, there used to be a lot of caribou population, and it was disturbed that the calving areas were disturbed by the Meadowbank mines. Although they go through the mine site, but the calving area has been disturbed. And there's a mining company near Rankin Inlet, and it's the migration route is right on the mine site. And we don't often hear that there's different kinds of calves, that there are explorations going on in this region. And as well, and when the Rock Melody and Gold Mine opened, it created more problems, especially with the caribou harvesters. I am sure it was a beautiful country, beautiful tundra, but however, with the disturbance of the mine, I am sure it has changed. And well, because we have to get every little detail from the mining sector onto what they're going to be doing, and the tailings is one of the biggest factors that we are afraid of. The tailing ponds are very quite dangerous for any kind of species of animals. They're quite dangerous. I think we're going to have to talk to the mining sectors more often than now, because they are in fact disturbing our ecosystem and our waters as well, because the dangers of cyanides and whatnot that they used in the mining companies. Yeah, we have to keep an eye on them. And when I was younger, I used to envy a lot of hunters who, now that I'm aging, I am no longer envious. I'm totally involved with harvesting of wild animals we do have within our community. And I used to follow the older people, like the people next to me, and before the mining sectors were being introduced, there was no the caribou population was very, very healthy at that time as well, and we do harvest thunder wolves, and sometimes we do see carcasses of caribou that were killed by the wolves. And one of the lakes was contaminated with the carcasses of caribou, because we do have a point and the rivers that we rely on for fishing and whatnot. There's commercial fishing as well that is happening within our community, and especially with the caribou. The problem is that the radio collars have been introduced for many years by the scientists already. And the Arctic char has been noted that they have they're changing. Even their colors are changing. Maybe from the contamination from the bank, from the mines, and the rivers that are going down to the ocean. And, they're getting quite dangerous if they are not treated well. Maybe if there should be an overflow of any kind, it might be quite dangerous for human consumption. I know the mining sectors are going to be creating more problems within our communities. And I want to say all these things. I can elaborate more on them if there's any questions. And because within the whole universe, our communities are being disturbed at this time of the year. I know there are different kinds of species of caribou that is being introduced to our communities in our region because there's hardly any caribou in at Alaska. And it was mentioned that the parrot caribou has been reduced to small size. And right now, and people from communities of Baffin region are only allowed to harvest only four per person, and they have the quota system for caribou harvesting. When you look at the map, and we know the white area in and the red colored on the map indicates, and if there was any problems, we would have notified any governance or regulators about the problem. And if we're going to be harvesting caribou, sometimes we are going to have problems harvesting good consumption of caribou meat. And I'd like to thank all the 6 communities. We know the money is good, but money talks sometimes, and money sometimes it's all gone. And I know when the funding is not available for any kind of for harvesting, it's going to be impossible for us to do any harvesting, any kind of species within the community of Akviat. Because they have wanted to build infrastructures for exploration and mining companies. We'd like to be able to have that land protected for the purpose of the people from Akviat and our future generation as well. My cousin, I'm sure he has a few things to say. I'd like to thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk to Nineveh Planning Commission and the people of Kiwanluk. Yeah, thank you very much for giving us an opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Kevin.
I'm Kevin Kalawa, hunters and trappers in Akviat. I'm here with Alex and those who are here. If I'm going to be speaking fast, please just let me know. I'm going to speak in my language. We'll be speaking in Inuktitut. we're from HTO from Akviet. We are very thankful that we are able to be here. The Hunters and Trappers and organizations. I just became a member with them not too long ago, and I did orientation with them, and I started learning how to become a board, and I realized that there people that wants to get a project or research on wildlife or exploration on mind, even local residents of Akved and consultant. We see all these different kind of organizations, those who either want to help or do research. And some are not too truthful with their application. But we are there as a board on behalf of our people. We do talk with them or either by telephone. As I just mentioned, there are people that consult to the board of HTO, Hunters and Trappers. They wanted to do some research on caribou. They put map on our walls. And they were there on behalf of their organization. And when I just became a board, and I didn't really understood the meaning of the color, the red color, the green color that were presented to us. And then I had asked Alex had mentioned about caribou crossing. It's not on the map. I realized then I asked how come there's no conditional or limited use? How come it's on a mixed use land? And the organization had their own Facebook, and Turketel, there was a mining exploration that wanted to open at Turketel, and they wanted that as a home base at Turketel. We've talked to the people of Akved how they would want it, but the Akved people were not too interested if they open mining exploration at Turketel. And we had marked, can you put limited use and or conditional mark on Turketel and not be as mixed use? Then a few months later, they met with us again at the recreation hall. The same map that we saw a few months ago when we first were consulted. And from there, we realized that it's not on limited use or on conditional use. And we see there it's on a mixed use. Here we requested that we wanted that area as limited use or conditional use. Our ancestors and or local people who goes on radio, local radio, they are repeating Caribou crossing or river crossing. Up to date, we are told that the Caribou crossing, and we will be the ones that will be telling our younger generations that those Caribou crossings should not be touched. The mining or mining exploration, it's good if they, and we just use, we just heard from Alex that it's our responsibility to take care of our caribou. And I might not say what is right, but the caribou that goes through Magoos Lake, we have to think twice before we make a decision. Maybe open the gate or close the gate. And we have to talk about it again. If the mining started at where they're interested, the caribou crossing and or our caribou will decline again, like other countries that Alex had mentioned earlier that they're declining. I've mentioned yesterday on slide 42 when Jonathan had did the presentation, the caribou crossing. We made an agreement, the four of us here, on behalf of Akvet, before you guys leave, before end of this week, if we can mark again on the map where we wanted limited use or conditional use. And I had a question yesterday. The buffer. We wanted 10 kilometers due to some reasons. The mining, due to mining, are interested on caribou crossing. We want to be cautious. We want to take good care of the caribou crossings. If you see a river crossing, either on the river or river crossing, they won't go crossing on the other areas, but they will cross where they have been crossing. If you see caribou crossing and the herd. When they do our river crossing, the reason why we wanted 10 kilometers buffer, we're going to go by that 10 buffer that we are requesting. What we are requesting on that 10 buffer, we're saying that, and I believe you guys can be with us and support us too. And the question I had in slide, we heard the people of Akvet. I'm not sure if it's true, and I'm not sure about it. Densole areas. We don't really know about what's going on with Densole. Give me an example. As an example, a teacher will point to each child. When a teacher start whispering and the other child started whispering, and at the end, what did you hear? It will be a different story. Can someone give me who's working with that Densole more? That give me more detail. I would like to hear from either federal government or the ones that are doing the negotiations. Can you give us an update on the status of the federal government, or if they're... I don't want to hear from the consultant, but I want to hear from a federal government or who knows about the Densole. Can you give us an update of the status of what's going on with the negotiations? Because we're having a shared land, maybe the border of Akvet. I would like to hear. I'm not against them. I'm not against Densole. Because they will change the border, and if we hear they should go to Akvet and work with us, and let us hear what's going on, so we can also share that news to Akvet, people of Akvet. Our hunting grounds, my cousin just mentioned, where we go hunting to the Magoose Lake. They go further. The caribou go further. During winter, they go by that from south or north. And when they're going to go to calving ground. We all know, even here in Rankin, Inlet, Well Cove, it's okay that they go hunting near Akved because their travel migration are very close to Akved. And the caribou that passed by in July. For the past 5 years, 4, 5, 6 years, those they go right through Akved and they go through town, and we can see a lot of herds of caribou. About 4 to 6 years. I haven't seen herd going right through Akved. Their migration route is changing further from Akved. For some reason, they went through our town, very close to our town about 2 years ago. But the migration route are changing. Where we can really go hunting because they're far from our where we can't really reach them, the caribou herd. And we have to be more cautious going hunting and how much we are catching caribou during winter and during summer and spring. They're changing their migration route. Lastly, I would like to say in Nunavut Agreement, for those who established, there were a lot of negotiations, and they did the best for us. They took their time to establish, and the Nunavut beneficiaries, we welcome them, and as Inuit usually welcome any people. Yesterday, it seemed to me that we are being rushed to make this land use planning. I don't think we should rush things if we're going to. We want the best land use planning. When they started establish Nunavut Agreement, I think they did a very good example. We shouldn't let go of things easily because it's our value. We want the best for our land use planning. We can do this and can change. What we're doing is betterment for our generation to come. Just going to wait to see if there's any comments towards us. That's all I have to say. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you for the presentation. I see that Peter would like to add some comments. Go ahead, Peter.
Lastly, we have heard from HTO presenters. Thank you very much. You've talked about more concerns what Akvet had regarding the land use plan. The Hunters and Trappers organization, they know where the caribou crossings are, where the migration routes are. The Hunters and Trappers organization in Akvet should consult with your mapper and work with the ones that do some mapping. He touched about limited use, conditional use, but don't want to get it as mixed use. Can the HTO Hunters and Trappers pinpoint where the caribou crossing where they are, especially in areas coming in from Rankin, Inlet, and or Churchill, Manitoba? They were surely marked with Nunavut Planning Commission staff, their market. Kevin or Alex will work with one of the NPC staff.
Drinking water, military facilities, those were a bit mentioned in the plan itself, and I'm pretty sure in near future those 5 items will get into a Hamlet chamber sometime, and we'll be discussing whatever happens with those 5. But meantime, all the concern that are being talked about in the plan are mostly directed to our HTO because they kind of
Hunters and trappers usually have people that have concern about the land and caribou crossings or their migration route. We seem that we've spoken a long time. Kevin had a father of Mark Kalok and Alex Ishaluk. Father was Jimmy Ishaluk. I think that's all we have to say.
Thank you very much for your presentations. We're right around that 10:15 mark, a little early. So what we'd like to do is take the quick break. You guys come back to the table and we'll ask the questions after the break. Does that work for you? Okay, quick break, stretch legs, get coffee. Thanks. Okay, thank you very much for your presentations. It's now time for questions, and we will start with Nunavut Planning Commission staff questions, and I believe it's Jonathan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the Akviet representatives for your very detailed presentation this morning. There was some discussion about the caribou freshwater crossings, and I just wanted to make a few points of clarification in advance of a question. So just while you were speaking, we were looking at the current version of Map A, the land use designations, and Goomp has put it up on the screen here for reference. We just want to confirm that both Magoose Lake freshwater crossings as well as Turketal Lake freshwater crossing areas are included in the draft plan as limited use designations with year-round prohibitions on activities with the 10-kilometer buffer assigned. I'd also note that both the Magoose Lake and Turketal Lake caribou freshwater crossings that your community identified do have small portions of existing mineral rights within both of those crossings. So we just want to draw your attention to that. So these existing gold exploration projects would be exempt from those prohibitions. We appreciate the comments you made regarding the 10-kilometer buffer being supported by the Hunters and Trappers organizations in particular. And we just want to confirm whether you're in support of year-round prohibitions through a limited use designation, or if you feel something like a seasonal restriction in a conditional use area would be appropriate. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Jonathan, for your question. On the water crossing at Magoose, if we can maybe zoom in and get some proper view of the map with the colored, okay, there's that Magoose Lake and there's Upper Magoose on that, right above the, yeah, right about there. There's that narrow spot there in between. Just where's your arrow? Yeah, go up a bit. Okay, right? You know that white area, just go into that narrow spot. Right in between Upper Magoose and, yeah, down, right? The white area. That area is where our main water, caribou water crossing, scroll right, your arrow. Ikekto. Oh, okay. Oh, right there, yeah. That's left on Upper Magoose. Ikekto. Oh. I got a poor vision. Kevin's got more. Okay. Sorry about that.
Left a bit just above the white tip. Up
Can I just interrupt?
area, yeah.
Can I just interrupt for 1 second?
Yep.
I forgot to mention that we need to state the name and the organization before you start to help with the transcription. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Alex Ishaluk, with Hunters and Trappers, and my partner here, Kevin Kalua. Jonathan, thank you for your question on number one about the first water crossing. Kevin will can pinpoint that area. And for your other question on the 10-kilometer buffer zone, maybe Kevin, if you want to clarify that, but we will stick with the 10-kilometer rather than 2-kilometer. Because the only reason is when the caribou are crossing, if you watch the nature on TV where wildebeest, they go into a river, caribou does the same. They travel sideways, but when they get to the river, they go only one certain path. The caribou up here does the same. They come in, they go to a river, and only that certain spot, caribou does exactly the same. That's why we like to expand and stand with 10-kilometer buffer zone rather than 2, because, like I said, they come in wide, but they funnel down to a very narrow path. And for seasonal or conditional, Kevin and I are thinking seasonal would be more in our favor. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for the answers. One thing that comes to mind is if anybody does not feel comfortable answering the question on the fly, you're always able to say, I will get back to you, and there can be a follow-up. So I just want to make sure that you're not forced to answer right here, right now. It can be a follow-up. I want to make sure you're all comfortable with that, knowing that. Jonathan, do you have another question? Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the response. I'd just also like to clarify, we've brought the map up on the screen just for reference, but if you would like changes to these boundaries, it's still important to submit a revised map showing the areas. So us talking about a location on the screen won't properly be entered into the record, but if you're able to submit a map showing these updated locations, that would be much appreciated. The other topic I wanted to discuss was the community drinking water supply. Peter noted that would be something for consideration. I just want to see if there are any comments from the representatives here today, whether year-round restrictions on uses within your community drinking water supply are supported by the community as included in the draft plan, and whether you'd see any difference on Crown land versus Inuit-owned land parcels within the community's drinking water supply. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Alex Isaluk, Akwayat Hunters and Trappers. Thank you, Jonathan, for your clarification on one about the revised map. Thank you, and we will, my question now is to you, do we have time to submit a revised map, and till when? Is it January? Okay, thank you. got that. And for your second question about the community drinking water supply, your question relates to Hamlet on that area. So Peter can answer, or Ludovic can answer that one. Peter?
Go ahead.
He said it all.
Okay, Sharon has a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your presentation. The Commission appreciates that. Sorry, my name is Sharon Hallowack, Executive Director for the Planning Commission. Just to follow up on your question regarding the Denny negotiations, the parties that are responsible, the federal government, the government of Nunavut, and the KIV-IA are here, and when they do their presentations, I believe they can address your question on the update or specifics of the negotiations. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any more questions? Okay. It is now time for any questions from the community delegates. Do the communities have questions for Ophiyat? I don't see any. It is now time for registered participants. Just got a note to remind ourselves that we use full terms, not acronyms, just as a reminder. Thank you. No registered participants coming to the mic. Is there any public individuals? No? Tema? Matna?
Matnato, tamani tito yu lolawata. Thank you for having us here. Thank you, everybody.
The table in that is going to get a quick wipe down. While we're waiting for that, the hamlet of Baker Lake and the HTO in Baker Lake, are you going to join each other at the table like Ophiyat? Okay. You can make your way to the table and get ready. Thank you, representatives from Baker Lake. Just as a quick reminder, state your name, who you represent, and then it looks like Paula's going first. Okay. Please go ahead.
Matna Iksibota, Hubanga Paula Kigiwilicusin. I'm representing the hamlet of Baker Lake. Thank you, Nunavut Planning Commission Board, Chair, communities of Kivalliq, our land management people who are Kivalliq Inuit Association, Nunavut Tungavik Incorporated, federal government, and government of Nunavut. And also thank you to all the other presenters later on and local community members. When reviewing this document, landowners are Nunavut Tungavik Incorporated and the Crown. They own the land. Duty to consult. Understanding where the community stands. Do you know where they are at? Your submission on our behalf as beneficiaries and stakeholders, do you know where we are at? Do you know if we agree or not? As this is our backyard. Why pass the consultation process to the project proponent when you do not know what the people who live there want in the first place? They may agree, they may not agree. We have not heard from Nunavut Tungavik Incorporated, the Crown, KIA about the draft Nunavut Land Use Plan. We heard from Kivalliq Inuit Association. We heard from Kivalliq Inuit Association a few weeks ago, but that was the first time since this draft land use process began. We sometimes find out when helicopters are flying around and we are like, what are you looking for? Only to hear they've been approved through the land process by the landowners and by the regulatory process. So the landowners are Nunavut Tungavik Incorporated and the federal government, and the regulatory process is Nunavut Planning Commission and Nunavut Impact Review Board. Land is the base of this plan and colonial law. The free entry system to land management where the land is either Nunavut Tungavik Incorporated or Crown land. And then exploration mining companies according to the plan because they have invested monies and looking for minerals like gold or uranium. What is the cost price for the loss of investment? The people who could properly be informed to manage the issues. As it is today, the economies, the large portion is all going out of the territory in the big picture. The initial investments are a drop in the bucket compared to what we could get and should get. Duty to consult has been absent from this plan from Nunavut Tungavik Incorporated, the Crown, Nunavut Planning Commission has come, but I believe there could be way more. Kivalak Inuit Association also, we haven't heard from them. Duty to consult should not be a one-time thing as well. Nunavut Tungavik Incorporated and the Crown, what have you decided on our behalf, and do you know if we agree or not? Duty to consult. Term 3.6 of the Keewaydin Regional Land Use Plan. The Nunavut Planning Commission asked the hamlets, why not the HTOs as well and community members? This term 3.5 of the draft of this term 3.5 in the Keewaydin Regional Land Use Plan and the draft Nunavut Land Use Plan is all about land. It's the foundation. Nunavut Planning Commission passed the duty to consult and public vote, I believe was misused in some way, a shell game of some sort. You can see motions that were passed by hamlets in the past on the Nunavut Impact Review Board registry, public registry. And these motions were sent to Areva, a uranium exploration company, a mining company. Where's the due diligence and duty to consult on 3.6 of the Keewaydin Regional Land Use Plan? And now today it conforms in the Keewaydin Regional Land Use Plan and therefore is allowed to have uranium exploration. This is all about land, the free entry system, the Canadian and colonial legal system. That's how we manage land, which is far from the general viewpoint of Inuit worldview, I believe, of the land. We consider the land our home, our spiritual well-being, where we harvest animals for food and clothing, where we fish, where we hunt, where we get fresh water, as well as possible, we would want to have economic benefits for the people of the territory. But today, if an economic analysis of what is going on today, there is a loss, a huge loss, than the gains to the territory. What is wrong with putting in a moratorium as on uranium or development? Do it piece by piece, step by step, learn what the communities are comfortable with. The provinces of Nova Scotia in 1981, the province of British Columbia in 1980, Quebec in 2013 put in a moratorium for uranium exploration and mining. Greenland did the same in 2021, and they're more similar to us Inuit, as they are Inuit. A slower pace of development that can suit the territory. Duty to consult should be done by the land management holders, Nunavut Tungavik Incorporated, Crown, and Nunavut Planning Commission, before resource companies who will leave after the rock and minerals are gone. For example, Nanisivik in Baffin, because the rocks and minerals are not there forever. The plan should have been presented to communities, hamlets, hunter-trapper organizations in more depth to the communities. We, the communities, do not have planners, lawyers, engineers, GIS technicians, biologists, to give a full input to the plan. We have a wealth of knowledge of our Inuit elders, but I don't know how that is represented in the plan. As well, some Nunavut Planning Commission has come for one day to the community to talk about the plan at some times. I don't think that's enough. And the training for our community reps probably should have started when 2016 one was not passed, so that we're all on the same level, on the same page, and understand what's going on. Because in that options and recommendations document, there's lots of information besides what's in this one. Which is the 2021 draft land use plan. We still don't really know what this Nunavut Tungavik or the Crown have agreed to or not on our behalf. Meetings and decisions take place outside of the communities that affect us and our land. We do not know what is agreed to on our behalf until an exploration helicopter comes, a company comes to the community to learn if the community wants that or not, but it's too late. It's all already, the company's already followed the process. We are left to ask, how can this happen? We have no input but on the computer, internet, but not everybody has that. Face-to-face would be the best so we can ask questions. Exploration and mining companies know the system and know how to get their permits and applications and follow the system. Do the land management departments know what we want? The footprint of these exploration companies start with staking, mineral exploration, bulk sampling, advanced exploration, feasibility studies, environmental assessments, mine construction development, mine operation, tailings, mine closure, abandoned mines, and the forever care of those abandoned mines, which is monitoring the toxic stuff that's there. Duty to consult. Companies are accountable to their shareholders, mining companies, exploration companies. Nunavut Tungavik Incorporated, the Crown, they're accountable to us. We live on the land, have family, ancestral ties, hunting grounds, camping grounds, where we go to clear our head for our mental health. Communities today are a relatively new concept in history, but not to our parents or grandparents who were born out on the land and lived there. Who knows, we may go back there in 5 generations. But what will we leave behind for our future generations if they do decide to go back? Why have the floodgates open for resource development? Why not a stepwise approach until we are ready? The rocks are not going anywhere. Get the people of Nunavut ready for all the levels of jobs and careers. At this rate, when we are ready, it will be all gone. And it is from what we have decided today. The Nunavut Planning Project Assessment Act passed in 2015. The duty to consult with communities. When did this happen? The Nunavut Planning and Assessment, the Nunavut Planning Project Assessment Act is tied to institutes of public government, Nunavut Planning Commission, and Nunavut Impact Review Board. What did the community say? What was their input? The Crown is the largest landowner and owner in Nunavut. What is stopping Nunavut Tungavik Incorporated and the Crown from having a moratorium and doing a stepwise approach instead of having the floodgates open to resource extraction? The lands our community considers our homeland. Baker Lake has 6 to 9 Inuit groups living in one community. We have a large homeland stretching from north to east to west to south, Beverly Lake, Gary Lake, Coich River, 30 Mile Lake, just to name a few. We have ancestral ties, and we continue to use those places actively today. Looking at the draft Nunavut Land Use Plan for 2021, it's all tied to land. Decisions made about the land on my behalf, your behalf, our future children's behalf, or grandchildren. This is a very important document. And I will move it to the Baker Lake Hunters and Trappers and Organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. Iba ilaito Baker Lake HTO. The mammals, fish, freshwater fish, will be my short topic. Yesterday I mentioned in Rankin, Inlet, since Agnico Eagle open, gold miners, our caribou south of the lake have vanished. And Tibjalik Lake, there's still few, but quite far from the community. And every year they seem to be further and further for food source. And the fish. When I go fishing, catch fish, haul it out, and while the fish is still fresh, I taste it to see how it is. It's becoming different. Baker Lake is a very busy point for exploration. It continues year-round. Yep, I've heard these news from CBC and other forms of media, Rankin Inlet, the Meladine Lake, Agnico Eagle. They say that the caribou is in the vicinity, so the mining stops. Where did these caribou go that were on the news? They, through Harbach, travel through Baker Lake, south of the lake. That was their traditional route. Akbet, Will Cove, north of these two communities, western side towards Sikurigwak. That now there's news that uranium exploration is out on the horizons. It's there. It's going to come. And this is a first sign that our wildlife will be gone. Also, And this is what I wanted to say here. Tibyalik was where you cannot hunt anymore. It was in a quota system, Beverly Lake. And it was there as traditional land even before I was born. My community, it was imposed that there be a moratorium or a quota system. Why was this set up? Was it because of federal government in the time, and it's still going on today? Baker Lake people are obedient. And the exploration is going there. Oil companies. Why aren't these companies put on moratorium while we are under quota system for that area? And this spring I was very glad when Ukoikalik, the heritage would be a new park related to heritage. So I'm happy to hear that. Too many times the locals, Inuit, are overlooked in favor of the exploration where my forefathers' parents used to live, and it is their traditional land. My husband's grandparents, Sikyelik, is their birthplace. And here we are again, going through the proceedings. And I have a feeling nothing much will come about because there are a lot of interest groups and interveners here. They become land keepers. NTI is a land keeper. KIA Kijangmute, Bapan QIA, KIA and Kibalik. And they are the keepers of the land and freshwater, marine. You came existence because of these concerns. Where are you now? Gibjalik has been on the coast system for many years, the land of our forefathers. And this man died respecting what was imposed on him. Many Inuit are being told, don't do this, stay away from there, where the wildlife is plentiful. '79, since I have been traveling extensively with my late husband throughout the whole area. We hunted everywhere to Kagbingmik. You didn't have to look very far to see animals, seal, fish, caribou. 2009, 10. Now, since that time, it's very hard now to find animals to harvest. The land. we should be the keepers of the land. It's the land to our forefathers. It's theirs from eons ago. It should be the locals, us who are in the land. It should be us who decides what the animal. And next year, Tibjalik herd will be even further. They're not on the south shore of Baker Lake anymore, their traditional route. And Game Sanctuary is given to Beverly Lake. People cannot hunt there, but mining exploration is very much in evidence by the mining companies. I'm tired of being looked over. It's always the case we are overlooked. And even the hamlet and the organization in the community are overlooked. And the mining companies appear to have a free range. And at the same time, we are told it's a coding system area. And Tibjalik caribou are not there anymore, just so few now south of Baker Lake. Our children, it looks like they will lead a very hard life. Inuit needs, the culture is so weak, it's not important anymore. We say we have a strong heritage. I hear that, but it's not quite true. We say we have a keeper in organization, but it's not quite true. People who travel during winter, spring, and summer, they just come. They just come. Our groups, our organizations, we don't even know where these explorations are taking place. Our forefathers, when they traveled to their traditional lands, and this was a promise to them, but it's never kept. Their lands taken. I can foresee this for my future generation. Is this the life they're going to lead? I would like to protect my futures. I have not received good treatments, and my parents as well. We were not well treated. They will have to work very hard, our children, grandchildren, the future. I realized the wildlife is not our only food source anymore. There are other means of having food daily. It's not our only food source, I know that. There are a lot of processed food available in towns. And we have a chance. We had, in the past, had free food. Wildlife was plentiful prior to 1975 during my parents' days. They were healthy animals. When you are handling caribou today, the skin is so it appears to be ripping off so easily now. It appears to be rotting. The water on the land and wildlife. We should strive to protect these, what we have. But it appears we are not fighting hard enough. We should fight. And there are organizations claiming to be for the land and protecting water. I will stop there. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Richard, do you have some comments as well? Okay.
Trappers Organization. First off, I'd like to thank Nunavut Planning Commission commissioners and staff for inviting us here to Rankin Inlet to participate in this hearing. And also thank you to the residents of Rankin Inlet for welcoming us into your community. As I stated, my name is Richard Oksani, and I represent both the hamlet of Baker Lake and the Baker Lake Hunters and Trappers Organization. My involvement around land use planning has been as a member of the Hunters and Trappers Organization and Kibulik Wildlife Board. Over the years, we have advocated for the protection of calving grounds, which is a stance we maintain today. The Baker Lake Hunters and Trappers has also strongly advocated for the protection of water crossings based on knowledge from our elders. The Hunters and Trappers Organization, along with Kibulik Wildlife Board, commissioned a report to the Nunavut Planning Commission on water crossings, which we believe is still on the record. A major issue that we see that needs to be fixed is the proposal from Kibulik Inuit Association on mobile protection. Having a mind for the past 12 years, we've noticed changes in the migration of our herds. Additionally, we have noticed changes in the community of migration since Rankin Inlet's Melodine mine has begun. The final issue is on the hydrofiber corridor, which we feel should avoid calving grounds and should be rerouted to avoid those areas. The Baker Lake Hunters and Trappers Organization, during a caribou workshop for Nunavut Tungavik, has requested that a new route be considered. we need to make sure we respect and protect important caribou habitat. Like every other hunters and trappers organization within the territory of Nunavut, we don't have the capacity that other organizations, mining companies have. Majority of the hunters and trappers organizations depend on one staff member. Yes, we do get support from Nunavut Tungavik. We do get support from the Kibuli Community Association, but that's not enough. Baker Lake, as I stated, we have an operating gold mine right in our backyard. Our lone staff member in our office gets overwhelmed. Having to deal with paperwork from mining, paperwork from sport hunting, and then everything on top of what their job description entitles. And also, we do have the heritage rivers, the Kazan and the Thilon rivers. But this does not stop anything. It doesn't stop development from happening. They are not recognized as a park. So that corridor is open. As my colleague here said in her presentation, Baker Lake has a mixed group of Inuit living in one settlement. So our ties are all over. In Baker Lake, the hunters and trappers, we rely on caribou, we rely on fish. We don't have the same mammals that we could harvest. We'd have to travel a long way. We try and base all of our decisions on Inuit Kauyimayit Tukangit. But with things rapidly changing over time, the traditional migration of caribou has drastically changed. Due to disturbance, we're seeing the caribou migrations going further and further and further. Today we are surrounded by restricted harvesting. Out in the west, out in the east, they're restricted. Here we are, and yet we're disturbing the habitat. I have more to say, but due to time constraint, I'll end my presentation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I've just been notified if you want to take some more time, you have another 20 minutes. So it's up to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Richard Oksani, Baker Lake Hunters and Trappers Organization. I've been involved with environment and wildlife for about over a decade now. The institution of public governments, Nunavut Planning Commission, Nunavut Impact Review Board, Nunavut Water Board, they have a role to play when it comes to resource development. But the way I see things working today is that the mining sector has a lot of say on how things should be operated right within our backyards. We feel that the institution of public government should strongly monitor exploration, should strongly monitor mining. But instead, we're working with advisory committees. And like I stated, we don't have that capacity. We don't have a GIS technician. We don't have a biologist at the Hunters and Trappers Organization, where the mining sector has all that capacity. The Kiwalik Association has that capacity. Also, Nunavut Tungavik and the government of Nunavut. What we follow today is the Inuit Kauimai Tukangit, what is passed on from our grandfathers, our great-grandfathers. The Baker Lake Hunters and Trappers Organization is not against any development at all. We just want it done respectfully, so that we are benefiting. I'd like to see my great-grandchildren, my grandchildren, to be able to provide for the family. Not only from the land, but from any type of employment. I understand that you need education to do the higher position employment with mining, with the government. But we're not there yet. We're working on it. Let's continue to support our young people. So that they have the best of everything, so that they could be harvesting what we're harvesting today. That's it for my presentation. I don't know if my colleagues want to add on anything, so I'll pass the mic over to Paula. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for your presentation. Just a reminder about closeness to the mic. The closer you are, the better. Paula, you have a few more minutes? Okay.
Paula Kigiwalik-Houston, thank you, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair. with my other personal history with, as an individual, to work with the Institute of Public Governments, being an intervener for the Nunavut Impact Review Board for their REBA final hearing, and now today with the community of Baker Lake, Hamlet of Baker Lake community rep for the 2021 draft land use plan. It's all about the land. Back in 2006, I worked with my uncle, late John Khilulak, to learn about where my mom and her family and her brother, John Khilulak, lived before they moved to Baker Lake, so before 1960s. I wanted to know the stories and legends, place names, and way of life. We took a plane and flew over Aberdeen Lake area, Schultz Lake area, Beverly Lake area. He was talking on the mic on the plane. I never recorded it. I wish I had, because he made the land come alive. He told you who lived where, their tents, and when you looked out, you could just see the family groups waving at you from the land, looking at the plane. To a mining or exploration company, they come and this is their first time, and most feel that they're the first here, but they're not. It's our ancestral lands. And duty to consult needs to be, it's all legal. The Nunavut Agreement, the Nunavut Planning Project Assessment Act, how the Institute of Public Governments work, how Nunavut Tungavik Incorporated, Kivalak Inuit Association, it's all legal to the land title. When exploration companies come to the community, they give us, the hamlet, an application and ask us if we approve it or not, or do we have any comments. Some come from Inuit Heritage Trust. Sometimes it's confusing because we administer municipal lands. We also represent the people of the community who have ancestral ties. Legally, is that right? I don't know. So the hunters and trappers are the ones that are elected to represent the people of the communities. They know about the land. There are some councillors on Hamlet that do know about the land and some that don't. But I believe the duty to consult really needs to be addressed here, because the landowners, Nunavut Tungavik Incorporated, the Crown, need to do their due diligence and duty to consult with the communities in the Nunavut settlement area. Because we don't only just live in the communities, those are just new in the history of Inuit. We live and use the land outside of our communities. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentations. Due to the time being lunchtime, we will take the lunch break, and Baker Lake will return to the table, and the questions and answers will be after lunch. Thank you very much for your presentation. 1:15 we will start. That is 1:15. Thank you very much.